don't stop. And you don't stop.
I look around and see how I've been living. I didn't know the writings on the wall. My girl's been good to me, she's always giving.
Hi, and welcome to Protectors of the Innocent, where we are the voice for those who cannot speak. Today, I have two very special guests with me, Briana Mirchel and Zarah Hedge. And Victoria will be my co-host as well. And little Scruffles here, if you can get a shot of him. He's pretty sleepy. So, how are you guys?
Good.
How are you doing today?
Thank you.
So, I hear you're in your third year of veterinarian. You're veterinarian students in your third year at Western University of Health Sciences.
Yep.
Yes.
So, what influenced you to go in that direction, to be a veterinarian?
Sure. Well, I grew up with animals of all kinds. I grew up in the Midwest. We had dogs, cats, a lot of wildlife, and so I've just always had this deep love for animals and knew that I wanted to go into something that involved taking care of them and helping them. I remember when I was really little, my mom injured a baby robin, and she came to me, and I was about 10 at the time, asking me what to do, and I didn't know at the time either, but I remembered a woman coming in.
That's interesting that she came to you. She must have known you have kind of a
Yeah, and
sixth
so
sense
from
about-
that, it felt good to kind of help that animal, and so that kind of led me on that path. And it's just kind of, I've always wanted to
just
do
kind
something
of
to help
branched out from
animals.
there.
Yeah.
Doing your own little veterinarian care at home. And what about you?
Well, I grew up on Long Island, New York, and the same kind of scenario. I grew up, my mom rescued wildlife, and any wildlife that couldn't be returned to the wild because they had to get their wing clipped or their broken wing, we tried to keep them happy on their own at our yard, but it was an amazing experience. You know, we had dogs and cats and rabbits and turtles and anything that anybody found in the neighborhood they brought to us. And, you know, growing up, I always wanted to do something to help animals, but I didn't know if being a vet was right for me. You know, dealing with the euthanasia, that's pretty hard, and I didn't know if you'd become desensitized. And then after researching all the other veterinary or animal-related careers, I just found that being a vet was the maximum that you could do for an animal. To be able to physically be able to save their lives is just an amazing capability. So.
Right. A lot of people aim for vet tech where they're just prepping the animal because they don't want to have to do the emergency surgeries and see all the, things you see. Mm-hmm. But that does raise a topic for me, compassion fatigue. Do you think, after euthanizing, sick animals after some time that you would get desensitized?
I would hope not. I mean, I definitely, for me, I don't ever want it to become just a routine procedure. I mean, for me, it's always something that it's a gift that we have that we can offer to people and animals when their time is up, but it's not something that I would ever take for granted and that I would ever approach without a lot of compassion behind.
Yeah, and that's one of the big abilities that we do have as a vet, is that we can choose when we want to euthanize, at least as a private practitioner. If it's a healthy animal, we have the right to say, no, we don't want to euthanize this animal. This animal is a healthy animal. Have a person sign it over to the clinic. But in situations like a shelter, where there's all these healthy animals and they're just, overpopulated and they can't keep these healthy animals, that's a whole different scenario, and I can totally see vets becoming fatigued. Absolutely.
What's your goal, to work for your own hospital or to work in a shelter, or?
I'm very interested in shelter medicine, and I know it's a difficult field to go into, which is why there are a lot of veterinarians that try to shy away from that, because it's sad and it's a very depressing job. But I feel like that's my way to help the most animals possible, and it's going to be difficult, but I really want to try to get in there, work in the shelter field, and try to change it for the better.
So how do you think you will deal with, when it is time to euthanize a healthy animal and that's your job to do?
Well, I'm hoping that you know, we can come to a point where we won't, at least in the shelter setting, we won't need to euthanize healthy animals anymore. And that's why I'm really pushing for this California Healthy Pets Act, because I really think that we need to do something. We need a stepping stone to get this process started to try to end the overpopulation.
Right. I totally agree. I agree. I hope that goes through in the next round.
Going for it.
I don't know. There's some things about that that I want to get into later, but I want to say that 3 years, that's quite a while to be doing, to be studying veterinarian. It's just like almost becoming a doctor almost.
Yeah, it's pretty much
people.
the same. I mean, we have to do 4 years of undergrad and then do 4 years of veterinary school. It's just like medical school, but the difference is we don't have to do a residency. If you wanted to, you could. You don't have to. So once you graduate, you can become a practicing practitioner. So that's the main difference. But the same level of medicine we have to know. It's just we have to learn it for all these different species, and it's overwhelming and tiring. But I mean, the benefits at the end are totally worth it. So
yeah. What are the things that they teach you, and do you have to use vivisection in the things you are doing, and do you use shelter animals as far as
Okay, our
learning?
school, actually, we're the first veterinary school to have a Reverence for Life philosophy, which means that in our 4 years in veterinary school, we are not required to harm any animals. The animals that we use for our dissection lab for anatomy are willed. They're people's pets, and they have donated them to us to use for our educational purposes. It's similar to what they do in human medicine.
Yeah.
We also don't do any terminal surgeries at our school. When we do have our surgery rotation, we do needed surgeries on shelter animals such as spays and
That's so
neuters.
incredible. I mean, that is so incredible, because I hear about all these vivisecting, and how many schools do you think participate in that kind of?
The last time I checked, there was roughly 14 veterinary schools that had alternatives to terminal surgeries, and about 8 that had willed body programs similar to our program. But there's 28 veterinary schools in the United States, so we still have a long way to go. But things are changing, and our school is starting to show them that there is a way to become a knowledgeable veterinarian at the same time not harm animals.
And that there are different alternatives.
yeah, I mean,
that's
one of
good.
the arguments is that you're not going to be a good surgeon unless you do these terminal surgeries. But doing a spay for an animal that needs it, a spay is actually a pretty big procedure, because you're doing abdominal surgery and you're removing an organ. And it has all the components of a major surgery. So you're learning all you need to know just from that surgery, and you're actually helping that animal. And you have that in your head that, wow, I'm helping an animal here. These students, these doctors that we work with, these professors, remember to the point their terminal surgeries and their dogs, and they were crying to us. They were tearing up, describing the whole ordeal that they had to go through, and they had to euthanize that dog at the end of 10 surgeries, 5 or 10 surgeries. It's it was heartbreaking. We're so lucky to go to school that doesn't do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think any veterinary student wants to do this. It's just that when they get into the program, it's so hard to get in and so competitive. Once you're in, they feel that they need to do it because the school says that they have to. And there have been a few courageous people who have stepped up to try to say, listen, I want something different, and they get a lot of
Flack for it.
yeah, a
we
lot
just
of flack for
recently,
it.
one of the schools in the Caribbean is called Ross, and there was a student there that they had told before she came down that she could have an alternative to doing this terminal surgery. So when she went down there and she came up to her terminal surgery lab, they're like, no, we're not going to give you an alternative, and she's fighting it, and they're
So
not.
they told her yes, and she came all the way down, and then they said no, you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And something similar happened to me. I actually started at St. George's in the Caribbean, and they told me, no, you don't have to do a terminal surgery, which they didn't exactly lie, but when I went down there, I walked into lab one day, and there's all these dead piglets with sutures on their back, and there's a student in there, and I said, what happened? What happened here? And she said, oh, it's terminal surgery lab day, and I was like, well, I thought we didn't have to do that, and she said, no, you don't have to, but your classmates can. So I thought that was really deceitful. I was really upset about that, and it was part of the reason why I left there and started over at Western.
Yeah, that is a little deceitful there, and it's shocking to have to walk into that kind of scenario.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
you know.
And the
Awful.
impacts it has on the veterinary students, I mean, it teaches us that life is not valuable, that it's disposable, and we're supposed to come out being compassionate veterinarians,
helping
at the same
the
time
animals and making them better from being sick.
What's really interesting is that our school is doing this survey kind of thing. They're doing a study, and it's studying our ethics at our school, because we have a veterinary issues course that's 2 years long, and we learn about all the different issues, including farm animal welfare, laws, like all different types of issues affecting our profession, and that typically aren't taught at other schools. So they're doing this survey, and that we get this same test every year, and it's about ethics. It's all these questions relating to ethics, and they're finding that at other schools, students' ethics go down when they graduate. So throughout their schooling, their ethics decrease, while at our school, our ethics remain the same or actually getting better as we go through our program, which is pretty
Sounds
different.
good.
And it could be related to that whole Reverence for Life philosophy at the other
I
schools,
think it is,
you know,
definitely.
where they're having to kill these poor animals, these poor dogs.
Exactly. I mean, and we're a very new school. We just graduated our first class last May, and so it'll be interesting to see over the years what kind of changes occur. I mean, you can already see other veterinary schools are starting to address these issues, and in other countries as well. Down in Mexico, they're starting to address this
hopefully
issue.
you could be like a good example for all these people, because not many schools do this type of thing. Didn't you say it was less than 10 in the
there's not
United
many, and
States?
so I'm hoping that our school could serve as a model, to show everybody that this type of education is possible. You can still be compassionate and still learn veterinary medicine without having to compromise your ethics.
Right, right.
One of our, a professor that used to teach at Western that we're actually going to go do a surgery rotation with, she went to UC Davis.
And what's surgery rotation?
Oh, it's where you go, you just pretty much follow the doctor and you learn skills about surgery from the doctor.
Oh, so you get to go with him. And
And this is a doctor, she's board certified, which is really hard to do. You have to do internship and residency, and she has never done terminal surgery. And she's one of the few people out there that can say, I'm board certified surgeon, and I never did a terminal surgery. So she's our idol. We're trying to achieve that. So she's really cool.
Right on. What else I wanted to ask you? There's some pretty nasty diseases going on and parasites, things going on at the shelter that I have just become familiar with being a rescuer. I have my own rescue. I rescued this little guy from Delano Animal Shelter. No, you can leave him. He's okay. He
needs to be woke up a little bit.
He needs to lay down. He needs his rest. He's been sick for so long. But I couldn't believe it. I pulled 15 animals from the shelter, which when I went there, I was only supposed to take pictures. And from the pictures, I could see that they just have buckets of water, and there's feces everywhere. And when I got them to the vet, they had Giardia. And I was like, what's Giardia? And all of a sudden, LA Animal Shelter out here, they had a big breakout of Giardia. So I was like, what is this Giardia, and how does it manifest? I mean, how do the dogs get this, and how is it spread? Is it from lack of cleaning these kennels, or where does it come from?
Giardia is a protozoa, and it's primarily found in their feces. So if there's not good sanitation, which is, they're not cleaning the kennels, feces being left behind, and more dogs are coming into this kennel that, has these feces with Giardia, they're going to easily get it. And the most important thing to know about Giardia is it's zoonotic. So you can get it as a human. So there's big health implications from this disease, from Giardia.
Wow, so it can be passed on to humans as well.
It can. The water, it's not. It's one of those. It can, but
how would that happen?
Airborne or through the water?
It's a fecal-oral route, is what they call it.
Right.
So it's through contamination of the environment. So, but the big problem with that, though, is the reason they're having this outbreak is because they've got overcrowding in their shelters. They're understaffed. There's so many homeless animals that there's no place for them to go. They have to crowd them all into the shelters, which that just causes a lot of stress on the animals.
Fighting.
That makes their immune systems weaker. It's dirty. It's not clean. It's just a perfect place for a disease outbreak to occur.
Wow.
And they just recently had the parvovirus outbreak as well.
And where? In Orange County, they had
which was a horrible disease.
I know. I dealt with that one too, and it was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. That was the first time I had dealt with that. Was about 3 years ago, and to see puppies die because their immune system, you know, after a certain point, how old is it? Like after they get where their immune system starts to weaken?
Yeah, when they lose they have what's called maternal immunity for a
Right.
while. And when that goes down, if they're not vaccinated, they don't have protection against some of these diseases. And so that's
it's harder to
usually
fight for them. So yeah, a dog had 10 puppies, and all of them died to parvo and distemper.
It's a bad disease. And
This can be avoided through sanitation, improving the sanitation.
And vaccination as well for parvovirus, definitely. And we actually had a kind of a similar case to that last year. We rescued a litter of puppies out of a shelter nearby where we live, and there was originally 8 puppies. We did everything for them, from blood transfusions, midnight runs to the emergency clinic, everything, and only 2 out of the 8 survived because they had already gotten something in the shelter, and the shelter was understaffed, and they had too many animals, and it's kind of your typical shelter situation.
Yeah.
It's just because we have too many animals, and you know.
And what's important to know about puppies is people think, oh, puppies and kittens, you know, they're so cute. They're the first to go from shelters, you know, they're first to get adopted. And actually that's not true, because they have the weakest immune system, right, out of all the dogs. So they're actually usually the first ones to be put to sleep, because the shelter is kind of viewed as a herd, because there's just so many animals coming in there. The individual medicine really doesn't play as much as a role as like a typical animal hospital. So it's seen more of a herd. And the puppies have the weakest immune system, so they can get sick much easier and spread disease to these other dogs. So we were talking to a vet that works at a shelter back in the Pomona area, and she's like, yeah, the puppies are, you know, one of the first to be put to sleep, unfortunately.
Wow.
So people need to know that.
Yeah.
Awareness has to be raised on all the areas, especially about vivisection and all these things that are going on.
You know,
And this is you're doing it.
yeah, no, it's excellent. I love the program. I love the school. It's very motivating and inspiring, and I really hope that other schools follow after you. Definitely.
And we have a great faculty that are totally behind us and supportive of the school. It's just it's an amazing environment that we have. So we're
That's
very
incredible.
lucky.
And I wouldn't think, for some reason, Pomona, I wouldn't think it would be in Pomona. I don't know why.
It's interesting. I mean, we're kind of hidden. Not many people know.
But it's actually turned out to be a good place, because we're face to face with the realities of what's going on, because we see stray dogs nearly every single day.
Yeah.
And we both have rescued a bunch of dogs from the area, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see all these dogs running around. So you can't just say, if we were in a wealthier area, you know, where they have better resources, so, you know, they can pay more animal control personnel to go out and get these dogs right away. You know, they don't see it as much as a problem, but in Pomona, it's obvious. You can't ignore it.
And it's the shelter there as well. I mean, it's obvious there's a big problem. I mean, it's not just in Pomona, but we see it every day, and we deal with it, and we do spay-neuter clinics, and we try to do as much as we can.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If even, say, North Hollywood, they have a bunch of vet clinics, and you ask them how much is a spay-neuter, it's like $300, $350. You know, people in that area, that's a low-income area, and I thought, wow, this is not right for them to do, because this is, like I said, it's a low-cost area. You would think they would give their people a break, or, you know, do something, do kind of a discount, or accept vouchers, and a lot of them don't even accept vouchers from the shelter.
Really?
Yeah.
It's interesting, because and if you look online, you can search, and there's so many low-cost and free spay-neuter clinics, and they're being underutilized. I mean, and that's the big push with the California Healthy Pets Act, is that, you know, people say, well, when this gets passed, who's going to afford, who's going to pay for all these spaying and neutering? And the truth is, it's already out there, and and I think by passing this law, though, we can make it more well known that this help is out there. It's underutilized, but there are vets out there that offer low-cost spay and neutering.
And a lot of people don't know about
exactly. And so I really think that, you know, that's why we really need to get support for this bill and educate people that the benefits of this. I mean, what are the problems of overpopulation and the shelters? I mean, a lot of people have never even been into a shelter and seen face-to-face the suffering of all these dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Just thousands upon thousands of them.
That's the thing. When I was trying to help get the bill passed, I kept showing over and over, like, Dr. Death and, you know, other videos of, you know, the shelter and how many die. And they're like anywhere from purebreds to mixes to everything, puppies to seniors. It's just, it's incredible
and that's
to see.
important to note is that there are a lot of pure breeds ending up in these rescues. You know, there's some misconceptions going around about what's really going on in shelters, saying, oh, they're just, pit bulls, and that's not true at all.
Yeah, or something's wrong with them.
Yeah,
when
some
it's
of the
like,
reasons why they end up in the shelters, some of them.
Some of the reasons why they end up in
Yeah.
shelters.
A pure breed.
People move.
Oh.
People move. Some people maybe get
too
into a
energetic.
relationship,
You get all the
somebody's
ridiculous.
allergic.
Yeah.
And I see a big thing as vets, behavior problems. And, they like to just blame it on the dog, but what people don't realize is they are not robots. These are puppies. These are babies.
Right.
And you have to take responsibility for
Right.
training. You can't just expect that these dogs are just going to grow up and be magically, perfectly
Trained
well
and-
trained.
yeah.
I mean, you can't expect it with kids. Why would you expect it with dogs?
Exactly.
They might be a
exactly.
biter, or then they might jump over the fence continuously and just get lost.
And I think our society, just as a society, we're such a throwaway society. I mean, we do it with all other things. Dogs and cats seem to be no different. I mean, we get
Yeah.
a dog and cat because they look cute, bring them home to the family, the kids get bored
That's
after
the
a few
thing
weeks,
when
and
they
then
make.
drop them off
I've
the
seen it at the
shelter.
shelter where they take it. They take their dog with their whole family, and they make a family outing of it, and it's to take their dog to the shelter, and it's just like. That is such the worst thing you can show your kids. The animals are disposable.
Exactly.
And
I mean, they're like your children. It's a responsibility. That's why I feel like if people are going to get a dog or a cat or any kind of an animal, they need to realize that this is a lifelong commitment for that animal, and you
part of
can't
the
just throw
family.
them away when you
Yeah.
get sick
And
of
they're
them.
not free. People think that they're going to free, but they're living beings. They can get sick. They will get sick. And you have to expect for that. You can't. And food isn't exactly cheap either. That costs something.
Yeah, it's terrible. There's one thing that really disturbed me when I was at Delano Shelter that I want to discuss with you, that they don't have a medical staff there. They don't have a medical room. All of the dogs are, they're outside in front of all the elements. They don't have coverings. So a volunteer went in and she bought all the kennels igloos so that at least they can have shelter. But I thought, how can the animal control officers euthanize, and they euthanize right in the stomach? Is that a proper procedure for
stomach?
dogs and cats? Right in the stomach. And then when I asked them, why are you doing this? They said, this is the only way we were taught.
And the sad reality is a lot of these shelters, I mean, again, they're underfunded. They can't afford to hire a veterinarian or a technician or a staff. And then veterinarians themselves, they try to shy away from that because it's depressing.
Right. Vets don't want to, we want to help animals, right? You don't want to be the ones taking away their life. That's so draining and so upsetting. And oh my gosh.
And that's the thing. And that's the problem that we need to address is that, all these animals are going into shelters and nobody, there's so many people that don't go in to see what's actually happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And all these animals are dying because of lack of education. People aren't spaying and neutering. People are getting dogs and cats, and then without realizing that this is a lifelong commitment for that animal.
So what would you, before we, go here, what would you suggest to help this situation, to educate people more on this?
Well, this bill, AB 1634, the Healthy Pets Act, is a statewide thing. So this will help for the different communities that don't have the support for these mandatory spay and neuters. They can't do it like Delano, where, I'm really torn up about that. That's really hard to hear. Well, there's other communities that are doing fantastic things, and the animals, are doing much better than what they're doing over there.
Yeah.
It's really
and I think we
important
just have to
bill.
spread, too. I would love it if they taught this in schools for children, even compassion to animals.
I definitely think that we need to implement, the mandatory spay-neuter bill in combination with a massive education program to teach children, to teach people that these animals are valuable and that this is wrong, this massive killing of all these animals because they're perfectly healthy. They just don't have enough homes. This is wrong, and we need to do something about it. It's our responsibility.
And one of the things that I hope to see change is that there's as of right now, there's no consequences to people just giving up their animals and bringing them to the shelter. There's no consequences to that.
Yeah.
And there should be. Because, the taxpayers are paying money for you to just give up your animal and give it up. And there should be consequences that face people that go ahead and just give them up like that.
Right.
So I
there's so much we have to do. I mean, we could be here all day discussing this, but I'm really, really happy that you're promoting, pro-life and not, anti-vivisection, and that you're educating other people, and hopefully other schools will follow along, and that's really going to help.
And more adoptions. What about the adoption scene?
Well, like I said, we could be here forever, but anyways, it was really good to have you on. Thank you, Zarah, and thank you, Briana. Thank you. And again, thanks for tuning in to Protectors of the Innocent. We're the voice for those who cannot speak, and more later on this topic. There's so much more to do for these animals. So educate, spread the good word, and make this bill pass. AB 1634, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And you don't stop.
I look around and see how I've been living. I didn't know the writings on the wall. My girl's been good to me.